McIntosh regarding a presentation to council regarding a garden at Gatesville Chapel. Oh, sorry, I just read up.
Can you see me?
That's placeholder word.
She's tricking me.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I provided a letter, I think, to everybody. Just to bring everything into context, should I just reread that letter now?
I don't think you need to. Why don't you just talk and tell us what you want?
Okay, well, essentially, what I really want to talk about is the letter that I provided to you, I certainly would welcome any interruptions with any questions. But simply, there's a piece of land we all know about. It's between the Little Grass Park and Tiernanog Theatre. Currently, it's being used for, well, kind of the dumping of aggregate because there's still a few things going on up in that area. And nonetheless, there was some talk a couple of years ago of some folks who wanted to get a garden going there. And I think they initially wanted one grant and then another one after a year. However, having said that, it never did happen. But what I'm proposing to the council, Mr. Mayor, is I would like to get a garden going there at my own expense. And I would like to grow nutritious fruits, vegetables, and berries. All that food would be sold here on Bowen through Bow Feast Baw. Currently, they have monthly sales beginning in May, going through, I believe, till October. I'd like to help bring that to sales at the community school every 2 weeks if I can, add enough vegetables. And I plan to do it in sort of an attractive way and not too much visual obstruction, such as using 6-foot-high unclimbable fencing. And as well, I might have a little higher post in the corner so I could string a wire or a string that would simply help keep out predators and or deer from getting in. And the whole point of what I want to do is just add to our local economy here, but as well, simply, there's a revolution happening in North America and around the world, and it's about food. And I say, let's grow our own food as much as we can right here on Bowen. And one other thing in conclusion, I'd simply like to say I plan to do it organic. That doesn't mean I'm going to certify it 100% organic right yet, but I want to provide an organic, healthy, nutritious food. I'm not going to be using any chemicals, fertilizers, or sprays. The soil I'm using is a 100% certified organic soil that I purchased in Langley. And I've actually provided that to many people on Bowen Island, both last year and this year, and it's really good stuff. And so I would just hope, for no other reason other simply to say that I would enjoy doing it, but I just wanted to produce healthy, nutritious food for people on Bowen Island. Thank you.
Who owns the lot?
The municipality.
The zoning is correct.
Whose aggregates?
That's ours. And one thing, I'm sorry I didn't read your letter really closely, Dave, is I do have some concerns with your line working with staff to clean up the 3 piles of aggregate. One of the things our staff resources, especially in our public works department, is stretched really, really thin. The other concern just from a staff perspective, and again, my apologies that I wasn't able to get to this prior to going on an agenda, is where do the profits go?
Yeah.
Are the profits, is it a not-for-profit agency you're doing this on behalf of?
To be quite honest, to answer that question as sincerely and as honestly as I can,
I'm not even close to there yet. If I got the garden going, number one, there would be a lot of expenses, and there's a lot of expenses on just maintaining it and running it. My goal is actually to pay my expenses, not to make a profit, but provide nutritious food. I will be pricing the vegetables at probably a lesser rate than you would pay for them in town. My goal, and by the way, Kathy, I've never looked at the profit picture. The furthest I've gone is to look at paying my expenses.
Yeah, and all I'm saying that is, as a municipality, we cannot support a business in in that regard, so it's something that would have to be taken under consideration.
Okay, absolutely, and I'd be willing to work in that regard if there was a profit that could be made and that did become an obstacle. Well, we certainly could do something in promoting food or nutritious food with any profits that are made. But initially, it would certainly not be any profit that I can foresee in a year or two at least. But my main goal is to get food growing here on Bowen. And in terms of your other question about the aggregate, I was more or less asking for dialogue with staff, I guess, on what to do with it and whatnot.
And will you open your books to us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Tim.
When the previous proposal came through, there was some concern about where water would come from during the summer.
Oh,
Have you addressed that?
Oh, sorry, you asked me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know for sure, but I think there is water that goes through Kate's Hill. And I thought that, pardon me?
Copay water system.
Yes, and so I thought that maybe I could get a hookup with that water. If I wasn't able to get a hookup to that water, and by which I say in my letter, and which I will reiterate here now, I'll pay for that. I don't mind that at all. If water became a question, I guess I would have to have rain barrels and or truck water in.
This could, what I'm going to say, could end up being a benefit to this project, or it could make it very messy. Last week, I had an hour-long conversation with Mitch Sikulski from Metro Vancouver as part of the parks thing, and he asked, without provocation, he said, "So what's going on with this idea that Bob came to me about last year about establishing some community gardens on Metro land on Bowen Island?" And I said, "Well, I'm not really sure." I said, what was the time frame? He said, "Well, it was just around when the park thing was starting up, and then we had to stop conversation about it because they didn't want to engage in any conversation with people on Bowen while the whole national park thing was going on." So anyway, there's already in process an engagement between Bowen Ag Alliance and Metro Vancouver, which had been stalled out, but they're just waiting for the talks to re-engage on that. And they're thinking of its community-style gardens on the other side of the horse paddock area in the meadow down there. So as far as Bowen Ag Alliance goes, they have an interest in Dave's idea, but they don't know that Metro Vancouver wants to re-engage them in this talk about establishing community gardens down there. So
Can we not do both?
yeah, we could. But anyway, so I have to talk to Ella Blade about this and let her know that Metro wants to talk to them again.
Well, I was going to
So-
suggest that we ask Dave to work with the Bowen Island Ag Alliance because it fits within their mandate. And
Well, that's what he said, I think.
We just got a letter of support.
he just has a
Oh, I
letter of
see.
support from them.
Okay.
And that has some further discussions with staff about just all the logistics. That we haven't got any objections at this point to further
I think it's-
discussions taking place.
That's more what we were looking for at the
Basically,
staff,
yeah.
if there's appetite. But I think the first thing we would need would be a business plan from you, Dave, outlining the specifics, and including, checking into the costs of hooking up to propane, water, et cetera, et cetera.
There also was a fairly serious movement. Owen Plowman was involved in it. Was it last year or the year before?
Kingston Neighborhood Association.
Yeah, but anyway, but there are several groups that are very interested in setting up community-style gardening on Bowen Island, and so it might be a good idea to get them all talking together and have them talk to Metro Vancouver too, because it may in fact be that the area, the idea that they have might even be better place for it than the one that the municipality owns.
So I think at this point, Dave, do not talk further. I also just have, I think I need Karen's help with this and checking the community charter, because I think there are issues with us leasing our property to a private business for profit, which we'd have to look into as well.
Profit, but.
Yeah, but that's
is the
something we
last
can,
thing
yes.
on my mind.
No, I realize that, Dave, I'm not trying to say that.
You
it
will
is.
be here for community branding.
Believe it or not, and sincerely I mean this, the profit is the last thing on my mind, and I do not want or need a grant. I just wanted to, on a piece of what I see as vacant land, getting a good, nutritious, beautiful garden going for the benefit of Bowen Islanders.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Next up, we have me regarding the bylaws. Okay, here's the bylaws for Blue Water Park and King River Bay System Rates Bylaw number 233 and Bowen Bay Water System Rates Bylaw number 118. This came about as a result of our joint meeting last Wednesday, where we met about the amalgamation. And those discussions are continuing, and they're going to be fairly lengthy, I think, before we can get to the point. Everybody's on the same page about it, but there's just statutory steps we have to take. In the meantime, they requested staff to prepare these bylaws to deal with the metered water rates. And so these are just amendments to the two existing bylaws. I think, as Bill Newport said, it got the support of both committees. And these are bridging bylaws until our west side bylaws are in place and the new bylaws will be reviewed. In the meantime, it deals with overusage rates for the two systems. So I have two recommendations. The first is that bylaw number 323, 2012, cited as BIM Blue Water Park and King Edward Bay Water System Rates, bylaw number 233, 2008, amendment bylaw number 323, 2012, be read a first, second, and third time. The second one is that bylaw number 324, 2012, cited as BIM Bowen Bay Water System Rates, bylaw number 118, 2004, amendment bylaw number 324, 2012, be read a first, second, and third time.
So,
Second.
any further discussion? Question? All those in favor?
What, no questions?
Excellent.
Bill did all the work for me in public comment.
No questions?
No. So I think our next item of business is we have reports of committees, CAL, and commissions. And I would ask that council receive for information the items as outlined in section 9 of the May 28, 2012 regular council agenda.
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Next item, we have our Chief Financial Officer regarding the disclosure of contracts pursuant to section 107 of the Community Charter.
Thank you. We propose that this will be an ongoing item on the agenda, and most months it'll say nothing to report, I believe. So for that reason, I've reported the annual municipal hall base rent and the one transaction that I believe we've had with a council member. And I just want to remind council members that if there are any contracts with municipality, you have an obligation as well to report it to the corporate officer or to me, or both of us, so that it comes to my attention and jumps up and says, report me, and then I'll bring it onto the agenda. So I do watch for these, but I might not necessarily notice it. So that's all the reporting that we have up to this point. Is there any questions on what I'm reporting? No? It's just a reporting.
Do you have to do it monthly?
No, it just said as soon as you become aware of it.
Okay.
So
So
you
we may
probably-
not see another report. in
That's
the
true,
email.
yeah.
We'll just keep that as a line item, what we've discussed, we'll keep that as a line item and just put it nailed if there's nothing on an agenda. But I think in the past, what was done was, but it was also done a couple times early on as reports, and this just seems a more efficient way to do it. So the next item is moving to a closed council meeting, but.
No, there are some other things.
No, I was just gonna say, we're pulling that off the agenda, that was when we originally
Oh,
were
okay,
gonna have our
sorry.
closed